Please take your seats quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Hi guys, and welcome to 1minutetennis.com. In today's session, I want to talk to you about pronation on the serve. I want to show you clearly what pronation is and how it works. And I want to show you a great way of training so that you can add pronation into your serve. And to do this, I want you to learn about hammer and turn. To get real power in your serve, then the service stroke needs to be as big and as small as possible. But what does that actually mean? From dropping the racket into the slot here, then we want to have as big a movement as we possibly can in the shortest duration of time. And when we do that, then we'll get a really fast serve with very little effort. Pronation is where we turn the limb inwards, but the result of this, as I turn my thumb, for example, inwards, is that the racket turns outwards. So as I make the stroke, if I swing without pronation, let's kind of measure it. I'm just going to guess, but I think from the slot here, I've made about 1 meter. I'm talking about the racket head here, the tip of the racket. So I've made probably about 1 meter here, now maybe 2 meters, and now maybe 3 meters, and now I'm decelerating. It's only in the acceleration phase of the racket that we're going to gain power. So I've got a 3 meter swing. Now I'm going to do this with pronation. So again, the racket drops into the slot, and now I'm converting the momentum that I've gathered from the drop of the racket into the stroke, and it's 1 meter, 2 meters. Now think of the racket tip, 3 meters and 4 meters. So without pronation, I have a much shorter swing than I have with pronation. Now the pronation occurs after we've hit the ball. So I've had some people commenting saying, well, as it's after we've hit the ball, then it doesn't make any difference. But think of it this way. When they have the 100 meters races at the Olympics, they don't run 100 meters, they run about 150. Why? They only get paid for 100. But if instead of having a finishing line, they had a finishing wall, would the athletes run faster or slower? Of course they would run slower because the deceleration point is earlier. So on the finish line, they're often sprinting and accelerating, and only after that, with some room to decelerate, do they actually end up slowing down. It's the same with the serve. So if I have a smaller swing, then I'm going to have less speed than if I have a bigger swing. But pronation is unnatural for a lot of people, and I want to show you a great way of adding this to your serve and getting real pronated speed into your stroke. So let's begin with the hammer action, and for those of you who have a way to serve, most of you will know that the way to serve is where the racket goes from here through like so, then the hammer action is essential. And what the hammer action is that as I come out the slot here, I want the racket to be in a side-on position here. This means that it can scythe and cut through the air, and it's kind of a hammer action here. See, it's like hammering a nail. So the more natural way for most players, this is obviously aerodynamically unsound, and it's going to slow down with the drag, the swing, and the hammer action. And also with the hammer action, see how the wrist naturally turns and flexes, creating more racket speed. And a great way of finding the hammer action is to simply hammer the ball. So I'm going to put the ball in the air and hit it with the edge of the racket as I remained in my hammer position. This probably takes a few goes, but if you can stay in the hammer position and hit the frame in this way, then you know that you have the most aerodynamic and efficient way of bringing the racket into contact. It will be natural to turn then and make contact with the strings. But to find pronation, I want you to now practice hammering with the opposite side of the racket. This is a little bit tricky. So what I'm going to do is bring the racket up and hammer and then turn the racket. Now, it's much easier to hammer and turn and have the racket parallel to the net at contact and make the serve. But we're going to do it in a much more difficult fashion. This just gives you the feel of this, and I promise you it's so difficult to do that once you have the feel of it, if you can achieve what I'm going to show you now, then adding pronation to the serve and just hitting the strings in the middle is way, way easier and much more natural. So there's my hammer position, there's my pronated position, and now I'm going to pronate early and actually hit the ball on the pronated side of the frame. And although I didn't hit it clean, you can see I just managed to get the edge of the frame with this extreme early pronation. Now this is quite difficult to do, but it now means that I have an over-exaggerated hammer and turn movement in my stroke. You'll probably find that when you try to hit the early pronation, instead of hitting the edge of the racket on the wrong side of the frame, you catch the strings at the side and just send the ball catapulting out to the right. This is fine. It still means you're going to acquire the technique in the same fashion as if you managed to go all the way and hit the frame. Just make sure nobody's standing too close to the right side of you. It's then really simple to try and reproduce that, but just very slightly delay it. So hammer and turn, and the strings will be parallel to the net at contact, and you will have added pronation to your serve. With this pronated swing, you'll naturally add speed and power, and although it's difficult to acquire at first, once you have it, the serve will become easier, smoother, and faster. If you like this idea, then check out our book, The Power Solution. In the book, we cover this and many other subjects on how to generate real power in all of your strokes. Or join players in over 40 countries that I'm helping with one-to-one online coaching. It's a unique service where we combine video analysis with personalized lessons such as this and on-court consultations. It's very inexpensive and it really works. For more information, check out the website or email me. So add hammer and turn to your serve. Make sure that you're in the aerodynamic motion coming up to the ball and then in the extended swing path of pronation after hitting the ball, and you'll have a faster, better and easier serve. Thanks for watching. See you next time for more unique tennis lessons that really work.